Right now, we think that Fnatic and us are the best team in Europe.
It's really important for us to win H2k. Everyone have really ego to perform well, to prove that Fnatic is really good team.
As a newcomer to the LCS, we are obviously pretty happy with our performance right now, but obviously want to finish first.
Yarden, onslaught of shadows onto him. Can he stay alive? I don't think so. Atuni picking him up. Kasing just gonna get melted after the fact.
The way they play the game, the way they try to snowball and take vision is almost always the same. So it's kind of predictable what they will respond to our aggressiveness.
Of LCS, we had a really poor showing against them. It just wasn't us at all.
H2k are showing up, and they have taken 3 in reply for 1.
We maybe have to win the split and take our 4th title to prove that Fnatic is actually one of the best teams, if not the best in Europe.
Hello and welcome to the European League Championship Series Spring Playoffs. We're coming to you live from Berlin, Germany, where the semifinals are about to get underway. The fans, they're even more hyped than usual. Amazing. Shaco and his clone coming into the building. Which one is the real one? I can't really tell off this one. And their Fnatic Janna cosplay in the crowd, so hyped. Huni leading the troops of Fnatic into the building as they will set up for their semi-final, looking very, very concentrated. And of course, their counterparts, H2k, setting up, looking quite calm going into the semi-final. We'll see if that persists. And they're saying, I'm EpicSkillshot here on the analyst desk with Trevor Quickshot Henry and the coach of the Copenhagen Wolves, Carl Dentist Krey. Wow, the crowd is super hyped today. Same for you guys, I can expect.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is actually the second greatest thing that could have happened this weekend, besides being down there coaching my boys.
Yeah, wow. No worries. Still put up a good fight, and we're very happy to have you here as well. And as you say, a lot has happened since our quarterfinals last weekend. Most notably, the addition of a new team to the LCS to replace the 10th place Meet Your Makers from the Spring Split. The brand new LCS team, Origen, 3-0 versus Copenhagen Wolves Academy right here on our stage, and just a very impressive run for them all around.
Definitely. Origen is a team that, they were good the whole split long. They were one of the only challenger teams that scrimmed regularly LCS teams in the practice weeks. And you could have seen this team is here to stay, and this team has only one goal, getting LCS, and they made it.
Yeah, and then when you actually watch that particular series, Origen actually played better than they had all throughout the Challenger series. And Copenhagen Wolves Academy, formerly Lone Alliance, they actually really struggled under the lights. So the stronger team won, and I'm looking forward to seeing them performing again on the stage against the other LCS squads.
Yeah, and I am going to let you guys make not a hard prediction, but just kind of where in the range of the standings you think they will end up. Neil said we are top 3 material, or we can get there. It shows now, but LCS is a different beast.
It is a different beast, and I don't think they're top 3 from what we saw in that final. There was quite a number of mistakes that I think a stronger team or a team that's performing better may have been able to punish. I would, however, put them solidly in the middle of the pack. I'm looking 3rd to 6th, 3rd to 7th, and we'll see how the cookie crumbles once they start playing regularly on a week-to-week basis.
So around the Copenhagen Wolves.
Absolutely. If you look at the LCS right now, you got Fnatic, you got H2k, and you got SK. Those 3 teams are pretty much at the top of the league, and that's not going to change next season. And then you got obviously the Copenhagen Wolf at this 4th place. So Origen, right about the 5th place.
All right, well, we'll see how that plays out. Origen has their spot in the LCS, the Copenhagen Wolves Academy, and Reason, not yet, but they could still get it if they play in the promotion tournament versus Giants or Rocket. So we will see how that one plays out, which one of the teams will stay, and which one of the new challenger teams can still make it in. Turning back to our playoffs, though, let's look at how we got to the semifinals and pull up that bracket. The Unicorns of Love beating out Gambit 3-1 last week, and of course the Copenhagen Wolves sadly losing to H2k, meaning that H2k is up against Fnatic here, and those both matchups are so tense.
They really are. And the thing that I love about both of the semi-finals here in Europe is the fact that it's a different clash of styles. Fnatic versus H2k today, aggressive, bloody, kill heavy versus H2k, calm, controlled, coordinated. SK versus Unicorns tomorrow, it's Mr. Consistent versus Mr. Inconsistent. and it'll see which style reigns supreme.
Yeah, and as we see there as well, Cloud9 versus Team Liquid, the first semi-final over in NA, will also start right after our broadcast wraps up, so stay tuned. A lot of league action here today. And while we're looking at the big picture, let's talk Worlds qualification. There are 3 ways for a team to get to the 2015 World Championship: winning the summer split, so the playoffs at the end of the next split, having the most championship points at the end of the season, or winning a regional qualifier, which will be a tournament between whoever's placed between 2nd and 5th in points.
Yeah, and it's something that we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about because we've been focused on the regular split. But the 2015 season has had a number of changes, and it's encouraging not only more consistency on teams in the spring split, but also showing you a different way of getting these teams to qualify for the Worlds. Let's actually bring up how the points breakdown plays out, because as Sharks has already mentioned, if you win the summer split, you get that first place seed in the World Championship. If you have the highest number of championship points, you can see some of the teams filtering onto the table already, you will get the 2nd seed at the World Championships. And the teams that are placed 2nd through 5th on this table at the end of summer will do battle in a 4-team regional qualifier, and that will give you your 3rd and final seed from the European LCS to take place at the World Championships.
Yeah, absolutely. This format is just the best you could have chosen. You got the 3 best teams from the LCS going into Worlds. You got the best team of the summer split, which is always going to Worlds. You got the hottest team when it comes to meta, the winner of the regional finals. And you also got the team that performed the best during the whole year with the most points in both splits. So you could have done it any better.
Yeah, well, fantastic point. And indeed, we'll have the best representation there at 2015 World Championships. And now we also know where they're going to be held more specifically. We knew that it was going to be in Europe, but now we also know the specific venues. We'll be starting off with the group stages in Paris at Le Doc Pullman, the quarterfinals in London at Wembley Arena, the semifinals at the Brussels Expo, yay! And it all leads up to our return to Berlin, Germany for the finals at the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Trevor, for us, not quite as much jet lag as the previous years, but still a fantastic travel.
Definitely. If anybody thinks back to All-Star Game last year, the crowd was absolutely crazy. The folks in London, they went ballistic as well. I'm very excited to travel back to those venues. And of course, for all the Belgian fans in the audience today, of which we know there are many, you can hear them. Going to Brussels is going to be fantastic. I think the venues are great. I think the fans are excited. And I sincerely hope we get the cosplay, the screams, the yells. Yep. Just let them tear the roof.
Hey, I can vouch for it that the Belgians will give you all the other fans a run for their money. They're going to be so active. It's going to be great. For all the details on Worlds 2015, of course, head over to lolesports.com and keep an eye on that for all the info. We're not at Worlds yet, though. We need to make it through the regular season first. And with all of the new champion picks on the LCS stage over the past few weeks, we want to make sense of the Shaco Nautilus Cho'Gath metagame we're in. Tweet at LOLesports and let us know which champion combo do you think is the most powerful in the current metagame and why, Dentist?
For me, as the coach of a team that is rather late game oriented, it has to be Lulu Kog'Maw. The Juggernaut is a composition that is just perfectly played out. If you survive the early game, you're going to be beast in the late game. So Lulu top, Kog'Maw AD carry, doesn't get any better.
I find it hard to disagree, but I don't like the fact that you have to survive early. So I'm going to go with a jungle top combination, and I'm going to borrow one that Fnatic actually ran. Zac in the jungle, and Maokai in the top lane. Let's be honest, Maokai plus any jungler is pretty OP at the moment, but I particularly like that combo. The engage, the chase, the tankiness, it's just a whole lot of action.
Yeah, unless your tree is countered by Hylissang's Morgana, then it's not that successful. Remember to tweet your responses at LOLesports. As always, use that hashtag LCS to stay in the loop throughout the day. And now it is time to dive into our first semifinal here in European playoffs between two teams that have been neck and neck all split long, the 2nd place Fnatic and the 3rd seed H2k. Fnatic 2-0 over H2k in the regular season here in the spring split. They played in week 1 and week 9, so just a couple of weeks ago. Let's focus on Fnatic first. They are on the blue side for matchup 1 with Huni, our rookie of the split, reign over Febiven, Steelback, Yellow Star, and they are coached by Daylor. Yeah, well, it's been all chance for Fnatic all the time, and especially for Huni. The story of the split of these guys is really incredible and impressive. 4 rookies together with Yellow Star, and they have done exceptionally well. They were always at the top of the split, and haven't dropped a lot of games. And what we've been talking about in the beginning was, well, they're one-dimensional, super aggressive in their team fights, and that's what they get their lead off. But if you're so good at that, why change it?
Absolutely. There's nothing to change if you just regularly take games off of every team in the LCS. Yes, they have the same playstyle the whole split, but it works. And I'm sure they won't change too much today. They will still go with the early game aggression, with the brilliant map control, with the vision control, objective control. They're just brilliant. And don't forget, you got Huni. And Huni is the top laner with arguably the best top lanes in the game. So
yeah, it's definitely the case. When you look at somebody like Huni, who is a playmaking top laner with the highest kill participation of any top lane in the league, he's doing phenomenal for his team. But as a squad, Fnatic being one-dimensional, something we've talked about, the same SK, the same Fnatic, Fnatic are just more aggressive, and because they're always punching, they're always in your face, they make life difficult. I'm going to be looking at Huni when we look at this top lane because in the playoffs, tanks have reigned supreme. 7 wins, 2 losses on Maokai Sion. Hecarim is currently 0-4. And that's quite a surprising stat considering how successful he's been elsewhere. The thing is, we haven't seen Huni run Hecarim. He's currently 2-0 on that champion. I'm going to say it, he's the best pony in Europe. And I'm very excited to see how well he can play. Look at that, 82% kill participation. His teleport ganks, his timing is off the charts. And H2k are going to have a difficult time reining him in.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have to take a look at how they will do that. And turning on the red side in Game 1, we do have H2k with Oduwamne, Lulex, Ryu, Yarnan, Kasing, and their coach Prali, the coach of the split. So we have the rookie of the split on one team and the coach of the split on another. They were 3-0 in their semifinal versus the Copenhagen Wolves. Only bump in the road for me was the beginning of Game 2 for them, where you guys had a big lead, but they did play incredibly well, and as a result, 3-0 versus you guys.
And the Game 2, well, if you ask me as a coach, that made him even scarier, because throughout the whole split, they never had to play from behind, except for the games against Fnatic where they lost. And in our game, they were behind 10k in like 15-20 minutes, and they still managed to come back from that with like total dominant vision control, with perfect rotations, and with the right times, with the right fights at the right time. This, for Fnatic, would make them even scarier for me.
I think so, but I also think against Fnatic, if they find themselves behind at all, it is going to be a little bit harder to come back. Copenhagen Wolves didn't press their advantage quite as hard as you do see Fnatic doing. Fnatic are more inclined to tower dive, more inclined to rotate super aggressively around the map. So for H2k, I think the early game, laning phase to the first few rotations, could be extremely pivotal. They need to have proper defensive or deep wards, make sure they read Fnatic well, because I don't think they can bounce back if they get in that position.
Absolutely. If H2k gives Fnatic a lead of 8k, they're going to just run with it and close out the game in 25 minutes. For a reason, they are the strongest team in the mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to our featured matchup for the day between two supports that are the backbone of their team's success, Yellow Star and Kasing. Yellow Star, as said, leading that pack of rookies to the top of the tables in the European LCS. And Kasing, even though they're actually also rookies, coming in, and from the moment he joined, they went on a tear in H2k.
Yeah, but the thing is, we never heard why. We've constantly asked H2k, what did Kasing bring? What did it change? And everyone's like, well, the team dynamic's better, calling's better, everything is just better, you know? But there's nothing concrete about it, which is weird. It's just this magical ingredient that you can't explain. Works. On the other side, Yellow Star, he's built this team. You know, he took Febiven from H2k. Keep that in mind. Febiven qualified to the LCS with H2k in the expansion tournament, bailed on them, joined this untested team of Fnatic with imported Koreans for the first time in Europe, and, you know, and they've just played phenomenally. So great, decisive, strong calling from Yellow Star as the father of the team, and this magical chemistry ingredient from Kasing that has brought H2k in. And just one quick thing, H2k would not have been in the LCS if it was 8 teams. H2k didn't qualify for the LCS. They needed an expansion tournament to get in, and now they're arguably the 3rd best team.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can only concur. One last thing, glad you mentioned it. Febiven versus Ryu is, of course, a huge matchup. In the quarterfinals, Ryu, for me, definitely stepping up. But then Yamato said, for me, he had always been top 2 in EU. That is something that, for me, at least, wasn't as clear as it was in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. As a follower of the Korean scene, I knew what that guy is capable of doing. Like, most Western fans just know him from the Faker highlight video where he's the 2nd set. But for me, he was always like an fairly underrated mid laner in the West, and especially in the playoffs, that guy showed up. If you ask me, that guy was the MVP of the game.
All right, well, there we go. We'll see how he does in this one versus Febiven. And with things ready to go on stage, let's hand it off to our dapper duo at the caster desk for pick and bans.
Thank you very much.